Welcome back to Authentically Peculiar with Marcia, Season 5. Of course,
Cinco.
with the beginning of the season, I'm always the first person, but my brother is always down to be the next episode at the beginning of the season. I don't know if you all really understand the importance of having a village, the importance of having a support system, and the importance of being on the same page. That is me and my brother. I had somebody ask me last night, how is Batman? I was like, Batman is fine. He is doing fine. For those that are new to the podcast, this is my counseling brother. The only thing that separates us are our parents. We were birthed to do two different parents, but this is my brother in counseling, H. Scott Gordon, the owner and CEO of a safe space to be mental health counseling business that focuses on the mental wellness of men, but Black men in general. He is a voice and a guider of the future for Black men's mental wellness. And I am so elated that he is here today to really impart on the importance of Black men's mental wellness, how to expand your thoughts. And so we're going to get into it. Welcome aboard, bro. Thank you so much again for being a part of my fifth year of Authentically Peculiar with Marcia.
Well, sis, it's an absolute honor, and thank you for those kind, warm words. And everything that you said is reciprocated. Friendships are nothing to joke around, and they're very special, and they need to be cultivated. They need to be, worked on like anything else. They need to be intentional, and I honor and I respect our friendship over everything. And then what we do in the mental health space is just phenomenal. And we can call each other for anything. If anybody needs a referral to a female therapist, you're the first person on my list and always will be. And I'm probably the same with you. So
Absolutely.
we built this kinship. We came together. Man, that was over 12 years ago. 12 years
Yes.
ago, 12 years ago. So it's my pleasure to be with you. It's my honor that you consider me and what I have to say about mental health to be one of the first people in your fifth season. So, and congratulations on, first of all, 5 seasons. That's
Five
crazy.
seasons. Five
That's crazy.
seasons. Well,
That's crazy.
when we came together, we said that we were going to change the face of mental health. We ran into stumbling blocks early on with the person that the person that was supposed to be guiding us into the process of mental health, and he didn't realize the richness of what we brought into the field. So I'm so grateful that God always aligns pathways the way that they're supposed to be. And regardless of when they were trying to convince us that we couldn't be bigger than where we are, we started doing that thing. So thank you again. So let's get into the true importance of what you're doing in a safe space to be in Black mental wellness. Tell me why it's so important, especially now, that we create an environment for Black men to really tap into mental wellness.
Well, I think it's always been important, but these days, and I just feel overall, the African American experience, the Black man and woman's experience, but and I don't diminish Black women's experience or any other people of color's experience, but I'm not a Black woman. I'm a Black man. So
Mhm.
this is what I relate to. This is what I know. And I know that on the planet, the African American man is the most traumatized and stigmatized
Mhm.
person on the planet. And we're the ones that need mental health and mental wellness the most because of our traumatic experience but we seek it and get it the least.
Mm-hmm.
So my passion is to be that voice, to be that brother that you're comfortable with, that you can sit down and have a conversation with on mental health and understand it is not taboo. It's not
Yeah.
white people's shit. It's our shit.
Come on now. Come on. And that's the thing that we have to understand is important. Yes, white people, white men put a system in place for mental health. That doesn't mean that they own our mental wellness. It doesn't mean that they get to dictate. We're so far removed from the book side of mental health. How do you help Black men trust coming into a space to discuss their mental well-being?
Well, I am going to steal part of your title for your practice and your shows and everything. I'm authentic. I got to
Mm-hmm.
be me
Mm-hmm.
because one thing that people can smell is bullshit. They
Come
can
on.
smell it from a mile away. And
Mm-hmm.
I give them a safe space, pun intended, to
Mm-hmm.
be real, to be honest, to tell me, to talk about your deepest, darkest without judgment, without that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that you have to build. You have to build that relationship. You have to build that rapport in that. But I think what does it is because I'm very relatable. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I've lived life. I have the books and I have the degrees. If I was in my office, they'd be behind me, but I don't think that's my superpower. My superpower is my relatability, my understanding of a person, and to be very and my compassion for that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that's beautiful because we can have all these degrees. I call them the alphabet soup behind our names. But if we don't create a rapport where people trust us, especially Black men, trust us in these spaces, how are they going to ever know that it's okay? You often share an analogy, and I want you to share it today, but I want you to talk about for a moment what it's like when we shush young Black boys and then we expect them to all of a sudden wake up and have an expression.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And I love my black mothers. I was raised by a single black mother and my grandmother and my grandfather. So this is no slight to them. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not just black mothers, but I always talk about this cartoon that I've seen
Mm-hmm.
that I share with my clients. And the first scene is a young black boy who's crying, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could say he's obviously emotional, right?
Mm-hmm.
And his mother is like, stop all that crying and shut up. There ain't nothing wrong with you. Man up, be a man. And that's one of the most toxic three words, be a man. I'm not even going to into that. But then it goes to the next slide. It's the same mother. You can obviously
Mm-hmm.
tell she's aged a little bit. And now he's a young man, looks around between 18 and 22 years old, something like
Mm-hmm.
that. And he's visibly, you could see now he's visibly upset and, he's fuming. You could see that anger because
Mm-hmm.
anger is the only acceptable emotional that we can have as men. We can be angry. That's
Mm-hmm.
acceptable, but anything else that goes to our manhood and our masculinity. But the mother in the caption says, "What's wrong with you, son? Talk to me. Tell me what's wrong." And he looks up to her with a tear falling and says, "I don't know how,
Mm-hmm.
because you silenced that in me." And I understand why. I understand. I was just in a mental health talk yesterday in a forum, and we were talking about why men um, are not vulnerable,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you come up in the projects, the hoods, in survival situations. It's because our emotions can be weaponized against us. And if you're looked to be as soft or sensitive or things of that nature, then you become prey and you can actually lose your life. And this is not hyperbole. If you've never
Mm-hmm.
been in a situation, people will use you and continue to use you. So we have to put this false bravado on, this toxic mask of masculinity, and we hold that,
Mm-hmm.
and it kills
Mm-hmm.
us. It
Yeah.
kills us.
And it kills us in multiple ways. It kills us mentally, physically, financially, and emotionally. Because frequently and statistically, we know that men will develop certain medical diagnoses because they are holding on to anger, holding on to stress, holding on to frustration that they don't feel safe to release. And because of that, they have a tendency to get diabetes early. They have a tendency to have high blood pressure, have strokes very early in life at a young age. So, how do we help men understand the importance of the strength of their voice so that they no longer have to internalize? Because I even see it, excuse me, in my young grandson. I have to remind him, you have a voice. Let's use that voice. How do you help men to understand that it's okay to use their voice?
Well, great question, Marcia. And one of that is the tenets that I run my practice on, the LPI um, principles.
Mm-hmm.
L stands for love, P, purpose, I, intelligence. I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually coming out with a manual, an activity manual to help therapists and coaches with lessons and activity to help you through these three so important tenets. So, love, self love. That is
Mm-hmm.
the most important thing that we can have. And that's what I do. First and foremost, I teach my clients how to love themselves. Truly,
Mm-hmm.
truly love themselves. Not for what they do, but for who they are.
Right.
Because a lot of times our love because it's performative, it is transactional.
Mm-hmm.
But if you
Mm-hmm.
don't love yourself, if you don't know your worth, if you don't know your esteem, if you don't have esteem, then there's no room to change. There's no room to grow. There's no room to get better, Marcia. So,
Right.
first and foremost is establishing that love, that self love. Then the second component we talk about is finding your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Viktor Frankl with the logo therapy about knowing where you are in life. One of the
Mm-hmm.
things and why we are the Batman and Robin of therapy, and we the James Browns of therapy because we work so hard. But it's not work for us. It's our
Right.
calling. It's our purpose. It's what
Mm-hmm.
we do. That's why on a Sunday afternoon we're having this because this is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Mm-hmm.
who we are, and we established that, and that's why we are brothers and sisters because we established that within 48 hours of meeting each other. So we know that in the work that we do and experience the passions that we work through. So understanding your purpose, why you are here.
Mm-hmm.
I work crazy hours. People like, how do you see so many people? Because I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it because happier people make people happy. And when I can
Absolutely.
change a person's life, when I can make a difference, and it's not me, it's God through me. So I'm not
Mm-hmm.
taking any of the credit, but that just continues to me. So teaching people and having them understand and walk in their purpose and passion. And then the third leg, the intelligence leg, is being emotionally intelligent. I tell you, a person, I care more about your EQ, your emotional quotient, than your IQ, your
Mm-hmm.
intellectual. I don't care how much you know, and are you self-aware? All right. Do you have empathy? Do you have social skills?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Do you have social awareness? That means more because that's going to tell me when I interview someone to work for a safe space, their emotional, their EQ must be much higher than their IQ. So I
Right.
think when I establish and I give men that, then they can have that safe space to be all that they can be.
Absolutely. And I love that. And I want to plug in on the love side. During COVID, when people had to learn who they were, because they were forced to spend time with themselves and forced to spend time with people in their home. The
Mm-hmm.
word
Mm-hmm.
narcissism was thrown out there when men were showing up and trying to find ways to really speak love in their life. Women were countering with, oh, that's just narcissistic. So I want to stop right here in this moment and remind everybody that expressing and exploring self-love does not make you a narcissist. What makes you a
So,
narcissist when you abuse those around you because you need to be raised on a level of some type of pedestal, or you begin to gaslight, that's narcissism. But what Scott is talking about is having to learn to trust you with you in order to demonstrate that love. And I am not talking about, y'all, and Scott's not talking about going to get a haircut, going to get your nails done, and getting a manicure or a pedicure, all the other grooming and stuff like that. He is talking about that internal love, right? Of value. How do you help a man really understand his own value and begin to speak life to that value?
well, one of the things that you talked about, um, why people tend to have that narcissistic, and that's why because people hate to be put under boundaries. They hate to be
Mm-hmm,
told
mm-hmm,
no. So that's when you tell you, I have my bound. Oh, now you're a narcissist. But one of the things that we don't understand, and when I talk about self love, and people say, I love myself, I say, well, what do you do for self care?
mm-hmm,
Because we care for what we love, right?
mm-hmm.
You love your grandbabies. I know. I've seen it. You care for them like no other grandparent. You're a phenomenal mother and grandmother and just person in general. But you care for them. You make sure that they're good. But do you take that same care for who you are? And we as men, and unfortunately, you have had to step into that man role and you had to work in your masculine more than I know that you would like to. But
Right.
as we operate in that masculine, you know, we almost think of self care as taboo. But this is
Mm-hmm,
the explanation that I have. And this, like Scotty always has a damn story. I do. So think about you and I go to the gym, right?
mm-hmm,
And you're responsible. I forgot the Gatorade, right? You come with the big thing of Gatorade. I say this all the time. So there's a difference between selfishness,
mm-hmm.
selflessness, and self care.
Come on.
A selfish person is going to say, yo, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. I'm drinking all this Gatorade. You just going to be, that's selfish, right? A selfless person, which is the majority of people who operate in that masculine, they're selfless. They're going to give. So I'm going to give you all the Gatorade, and I'm not going to take any for myself. I'm going to be sacrificial. I'm going to be thirsty, but I know that my family, my sister is taken care of. Right? That's
Mm-hmm,
selflessness.
mm-hmm.
That's not good either. But what self care is right in the middle. So how
Yes.
that analogy of self care, you say, all right, well, I got enough for me. Now here you go. So I take care of myself, but I also take care of our community because we
Mm-hmm.
have to understand if we don't put the gas mask on ourselves first, we can't take care of anybody else.
Exactly, exactly. And I love the way that you broke that down because a lot of times people will lean so far over into selflessness, they still lose their own identity. It has to be a
Absolutely.
balance. And as we speak to to the men out there, how can you help them pass on the knowledge and the value to their sons as they are
Well,
learning themselves?
mhm. And I just have to tell you, you have to be transparent. You have to rid yourself. You got to renew your mind. I just finished a podcast with my childhood brother,
Mm-hmm.
Ernest Sampson. He has a great podcast that I just finished, and we discussed that, and we discussed the parallels between the Bible because he's a minister and he owns a funeral director, but the Bible and mental health. And we
Mm-hmm.
talk about always the Bible talks about renewing your spirit, renewing your mind, and that is your mindset and clearing your mind. So oftentimes we have to tell fathers that whatever was told to you was wrong. Your son can show emotions. He has to be
Mm-hmm.
in control of them. He doesn't have to man up. He doesn't have to put all of those toxic masculine terms. And when I talk about toxic masculinity, all people or the woke wants to do, well, that was a term that was coined by white men. I said, I don't give a good goddamn about it. Toxic means poisonous. Masculinity means male traits. When we do things that are poisonous, that we can't express our emotions, that we have to hold everything in, we have to be hard all the time, that's killing us.
Yeah.
And that's toxic. And we got to
Mm-hmm.
rid ourselves of that. I am a masculine man. I love everything about being a man, but I'm not a toxic man. The brother Jason Wilson has a great book, the Moment Demands, and he talks about a concept called comprehensive manhood and its
Mm.
totality, that we have to have that yin and yang, which I know is going to come up. It has to come out. It has to come out. So, y'all, when we first started, and I wasn't really up on masculine and feminine energy. So, my sister one day attacked me, I thought, and said, yo, bro, you got more feminine energy than your wives do. And I'm like, are you calling me a bitch? I mean, I didn't talk to her probably for a good week. I'm rolling my eyes, sucker. Shut up, Marcia. 2 weeks. But when I understood what she was saying, and it has to be a balance because masculine energy and feminine energy have nothing to do with sexuality. They're
Nothing.
polarities. It's like the yin and yang of things, right? So
Our truth
if
is though, bruh, it's in both sides are in us.
yes,
Both
yes,
sides are
and you
in
got
us.
to be
Mm-hmm.
balanced, and that's what it is. It has to balance. If you're confident, you can't be too confident and too unconfident. I can't think of the opposite right word. You have to be somewhere in the middle. You can't be hard all the time and lenient all the time. There has to be a balance, and that's
Yeah.
why the nurturing of mothers and fathers. But we have all of that in us. But
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times, men are challenged to operate in a feminine, but they see it as being soft. No, it's being
Mm-hmm.
caring. It's being loving.
Mm-hmm.
It's being nurturing. And there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong with that. Excuse me.
Nothing at all. And the thing is and I want to say this to the ladies that are watching. I strongly encourage you and your daughters and your granddaughters to understand that a man that understands the importance of balancing masculine and feminine energy isn't weak. And your mouths can be volatile by saying, oh, you're just soft, oh, you're just this. Well, the real truth is this, because and Scott will tell you, I hate to say this, 70% of me operates in masculine energy. As a leader, as a visionary, as a go-getter, as a provider, 70% of me operates in masculine energy by force. I had to show up in that energy level just because of the path of my career, the things that I've done, even as a single mother. That doesn't make me not have soft energy as well or feminine energy. There's a balance. But when I hear women attacking men for being in touch with their emotions, for understanding that I can have a very firm response without being rough and brutal. That doesn't make that man weak. And I really want women to hear that part, that stop saying that. And Scott, weigh in on this for me too, because the term soft life sometimes is aggravating for me. because it's like women are asking for permission. I ain't gonna even talk about the men that talk about they need a soft life, because that's a whole nother set of shit that's going on. But when women say they have to have a soft life, or they need to live in their soft life, for me, that's you asking for permission to operate in that. And I don't think we need to ask for permission to operate in the balance of who we are. What are your thoughts about that? And how can you help men really understand the balance for both genders, for both identities?
I think that's a great question, Marcia. And, you know, I think that when women say that, and I'm not a woman and my wife doesn't say that, but I don't under because it's saying also that I just want to live in my feminine. You can't live in your feminine all together, just like we can't live in our masculine all together. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that means that you don't work. I don't understand what the concept of a soft life is, but you can't, you're still going to have to be balanced. You can't be, just docile and yes and all of that. No, that's not a complete comprehensive person,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That you're going to have to stand up for yourself and not let people take advantage of you and things that
Mm-hmm.
would be more on the masculine energy. But it's not
Mm-hmm.
being a man. Just
Mm-hmm.
because I'm stern doesn't mean I can be stern and feminine and I can be stern and masculine, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Absolutely.
if I take it that I'm stern all the time, then I'm a complete asshole. But if I'm soft all the time, I'm a pushover. So
Mm-hmm.
neither of those, even if we get into politics, extreme radicalism or extreme leftist or extreme rightist, both of those are bad to
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Any absolute is bad. That's why I even look in my political research. I believe I'm more of a moderate or a Democrat. I mean, not a
Mm-hmm.
Democrat, a moderate or a not a. It's damn. I can't think of the
Liberator.
term right now.
Mm-hmm.
More on a moderate or independent. That's what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
More of independent than tied to any one political party. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I might like more some Democratic rate, but there's some Republican policies that I because I believe, and this is just me, and I know politics is a touchy subject, but hey, I will say that I believe that the Democratic Party has done as much or more damage to African Americans in America because with then the Republicans because what the Democratic um, Party has done for us, I believe, is they become our crutch, our safe gap there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're gonna give you some handouts and we're gonna give you some all of these and you get all of these. And they lure us to be dependent and subservient on you. So we're always going to be the working class.
I think,
So
and not to make it a political post, but I think that a lot of it has to do with fostering a space of focusing on winning the vote, but not necessarily doing all the things that's best for the community once the vote is won. I personally, I think that politicians talk out of both sides of their neck. I don't care what party they're associated with, they talk out of both sides of their neck,
mhm,
because when it comes down to it, as a population of people, we have to understand where we've come from to where we are now and where we decide where we're going. And we have to choose how to remove people, situation, and circumstances that no longer serve the purpose of where we're trying to go. The
absolutely.
problem and that's the same thing in relationship. It's kind of like when you are in relationship with someone and you're expecting them to be a leader, but they don't have a vision or skill set of leadership. We're expecting people to operate in spaces that require certain skills that they haven't learned or earned, but they may have a financial backing to get to that space. They may have attached themselves to the puppetry. And I see that in relationships altogether. I believe that a lot of relationships are having difficulty because in the beginning of relationships, there's this ooey gooey feeling of being in a relationship and believing every spoken word that this person is saying without checks and balances. It's just this automatic assumption that you're going to do right by me. Automatic presumption that you know exactly what you're doing. And then years down the line, we identify you played me. You played me on this puppet string. I believed that you could do all of these things, that you didn't have the skill set, nor did I have the skill set to really check you to see what you can offer. And I think that that happens with politics. I think that happens in day-to-day relationships. I think it happens in friendships. We put people in positions and believe their story.
Well, I
And one
think
of the, go ahead. Uh-huh.
no, go ahead, finish, please finish.
No, what I was going to say is I believe that relationships are suffering, whether it's friendships, intimate relationships, children and parent relationships, sibling relationships, is because we have this expectation. And a lot of times, an unspoken expectation of what relationship is supposed to look like. And then we move into disappointment. That disappointment leads into spaces of abandonment, rejection, and ultimately anger. And we have to identify the best ways to mend those expectations for people who really aren't capable of leading.
Well,
Weigh in, brother. I know I said a lot, but weigh in for me.
great topic, great question. And it's funny, I've been working with my clients this year because I do a year in review before we go in. I've gone from habits with my, I mean, from goals to habits with my clients, but that's a whole thing. But in this review, I talk about the aspects of what builds relationships:
Mm-hmm.
communication, trust, vulnerability. And what happens is that most people in their building of any relationship, whether it's a familial, whether it's romantic, whether it's a therapeutic,
Mm-hmm.
whatever relationship, first thing we have to be able to communicate and converse, right? And
Right.
connect with each other.
Mm-hmm.
That is, those are the C's of those things. But what often happens is, because we try to expedite the process, we we don't gain their trust because we haven't been around them so that they gain our trust. We have that trust. We go straight to vulnerability because
Mm-hmm.
vulnerability connects us quickly. It's like that fast drying glue. It's instantaneous. Oh, because we bond, we trauma bond, we bond. So now you become vulnerable with a person that hasn't gained your trust.
Come on now.
And when that happens, and then you look it back and they betrayed you, and I look at them, well, what did you expect? You knew them for 60 seconds and they know your whole life story because you want to get their sympathy, their empathy, you want them to care, you want them to fall in love without even building the amount of trust.
Mm-hmm.
You have to build trust before you can be vulnerable to anything. And it's, you know it in the therapeutic. What do?
Mm-hmm.
We connect with our client, that we have conversations, we build that up. Then they start trusting us because they see that we're not judging them. They see that we're not putting their information on all the internet. We're not using against it. We're not weaponizing what they're
Mm-hmm.
telling us. So now they start to trust us. And then the walls of vulnerability come down and they can share because they know it is a safe space.
Exactly. And the truth is that when you talk about trust, It's inner work first. You can't immediately jump into, will others trust me, if you don't even trust you with you. If you don't
Mm,
understand
say
how to
that.
trust you with you. Oftentimes, people have become puppets in their own life because they
Mm.
sell themselves a line of bullshit that they've heard throughout their lives, and they started believing that. And it's only when you tap into the truth of who you are with you. Years ago, I made a post and I asked the question, would you date you? Would you date the collective you and be in relationship with you? And of course, everybody said, yeah, I'll date me. Okay, well, let's talk about it. Would you date you in the way that you talk negatively about yourself? Would you date you and your inability to lead you out of a brown paper sack? Would you date you and trust you with financial decisions? Would you date you and accept emotional intelligence? Would you date you and trust you as a caregiver? Would you date you as a lover? Would you date you as a friend? Most people still lie to themselves because they know they don't show up as their authentic self. They don't
Mhm.
show up in a space of friendship or leadership. Hell, most people don't have leadership capabilities. They don't even understand what that is. They don't show up in their truth. So, how do we help, especially men who 9 times out of 10 in the current state of the world have never had a true, observable, healthy male relationship? How do we help them?
We start them. We start the
Mm,
relationships with them. We build those relationships. We model those relationships for them. I
mm-hmm,
know that's what I do in my practice. It's
mm-hmm,
showing them that this is how what brotherhood looks like. Being
mm-hmm,
authentic, because I don't counsel from a perch. I don't look down.
mm-hmm,
I'm
mm-hmm,
right here with you, bro. The
mm-hmm.
only difference between me and you is these little degrees on the wall,
The
and
alphabet
that just
soup.
means that just means that I have knowledge to help you. But
Mm-hmm,
I'm no better than you, bro.
mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
am you.
Exactly.
And understanding that, and letting them feel that they don't feel judged, that they feel, you know, they feel accepted. They
Mm-hmm.
feel like, yo, this brother genuinely cares about me. He
Right.
genuinely feels what I feel. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So that's the first thing, is that they have to feel accepted. They have to feel worthy
Mm.
of love. A lot of men don't feel worthy of love. A lot of people don't know the difference between self-worth and self-esteem,
Come on.
because self-worth is what self-esteem, excuse me, is external.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's I feel good about myself because I passed the test, or I got I got a date with this girl, and I got a promotion, so now I'm a great person. No, because that's performative,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That's self-esteem, and it fluctuates. What self-worth is your ability to be worthy. You
Yeah.
knowing what you're instilling in your grandchildren. I see it all the time when you talk, to your grandchildren and say you're worthy no matter what your performance. Yeah, I love you when you get an A, but I still love you if you get a D. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I might not be as happy as I am, but you're still worthy. You're still worthy of my love, my joy. I'm not going to not feed you because
Mm-hmm.
you didn't clean up your room. But a lot
Yeah.
of times we are made to felt that our lives are performative.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And the thing about it is when you tap into self-worth, you no
Hmm.
longer have to ask other people to validate your existence. When you
Absolutely.
tap into your value, you don't have to ask people to uh, attaboy you or clap you up or anything like that, because you walk into that space. And I always tell anyone that's listening to me, take up space wherever you are. Walk in boldness, walk in the assurance of who you are, and walk in the knowledge of knowing that life every day is a continued growth process. So
Mhm.
just because you all come and see Scott and I, and Scott has this niche with the guys, that doesn't mean that you get it all in that one moment. It's a growing process. You have to tear down all the crap that you've been told and then rebuild all of that. So, with that being said, what would be your last statement to men to encourage them to really seek mental wellness for themselves?
This is the third podcast that I've been honored to be on, and I'm gonna close just like I've closed with the other one. And it's love, it's loving yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And through that, you have to have what I call a mirror moment. You have to
Mm-hmm.
look at yourself in the mirror and say, do I like what I see?
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't like what you see, change it.
Yeah.
Seek help, be
Mm-hmm.
better. But you
Mm-hmm.
have to have that honest and don't allow that inner critic to beat you down and say that
Mm-hmm.
you're nothing because that's not it. I'm not telling you to bash yourself, but I
Right.
want you to truly and honestly say, you know what, bro? You can change in some areas. I had to
Mm-hmm.
look at myself and say, yeah, you are a womanizer, nigga. That's what you do. That's what you've
Mm-hmm.
done. Now
Mm-hmm.
do something better. Honor your
Mm-hmm.
women more. Don't
Mm-hmm.
stay stuck in that situation and things like that. But that took an honest reflection of myself, looking myself in the mirror and being lovingly honest with myself. Not brutally,
Mm-hmm.
but being lovingly honest. So I tell you, brothers, have that mirror moment. Look at yourself. Become the best version of yourself.
Absolutely. So, last question before we get into contact information for them. How do you resonate with authentically peculiar?
Well, that's my sister, first of all. You know, that's my sister. And growing up with you in therapy, I can see that fits you so well because one of the things that both of us are, we realer than a motherfucker. That we
Mm-hmm.
just who we are. We are
Mm-hmm.
who we are. I am the Bronx all day, all night. You are your hood all day, all night. But that allows us to be relatable. And I don't think that, especially in this space,
Mm-hmm.
you can't not be authentic. And then you got to be a little crazy, a little strange, a little off. You know what I'm saying? A little bit, because they look, yeah, he, but I think that peculiar is because you don't want to be the same. We want to
Mm-hmm.
be different. We want to cause differently. We want to see differently, right? We want to
Absolutely.
cause a change in our society. You know,
Mm-hmm.
this young lady and I 10 years ago said that we were going to change the face. This is two master's level, middle-aged people, who had a dream but showed what our work that we did together that people were changing because of us. But
Mm-hmm.
we didn't like how the didactic, the stoic mental health was that you couldn't share any of yourself and you couldn't share any of who you are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the proudest thing that I am of myself and in you is that we walk it like we talk it,
Yeah.
and we said that
Yeah.
this is what we're going to do, and we're doing it. And our job is nowhere near finished, but we're doing it. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I relate to authentically peculiar.
I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. So I know that you have ongoing events that brothers can join the last Wednesday of the month. Can you share that with them and share how they can connect with you and become a part of this fast moving self help check in for men on Wednesdays?
So yeah, no, thank you. So one thing that I was taking a class in marketing and in building my brand, and they said you got to give things away for free. You can't charge for every situation and things like that. So I took that to heart. So every last Wednesday of the month, we
Mm-hmm.
do what's called well men's monthly monthly men's wellness check-ins, and it's
Mm-hmm.
basically just a non-therapeutic forum for men to talk, to have different conversations about different things the that are, I don't know, I want to say bothering, but are relevant in
Mm-hmm.
our lives as men. So
Mm-hmm.
uh the last months we just ended in the March, we were talking about vulnerability and being
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable as men. We talked about being appreciated as a man. Next month we are discussing what we've discussed a lot today is self-love.
Mm-hmm.
What does
Mm-hmm.
that look like? How does that are we practicing self-love for men? Are we
Mm-hmm.
really truly loving ourselves? Because you can't define the relationship with anyone else until you define the relationship with yourself. You
Oh
cannot
yeah.
love anyone else until you truly love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what we're doing every last Wednesday of the month. It's on Zoom. It's totally free. You can go to my web page, my IG page, excuse me, at h. Scott Gordon on IG and Facebook. The links are in the bio. I also do a daily gym every day on my IG page. I do an inspirational daily gym, a mental health note, as I call it, and we put it in our mental treasure chest. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking all of these things and I'm getting them out to just inspire. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we also have a series of 1 day seminars. We just completed our first 1 day seminar, and they are collaboration um, of mental health in the different aspects. So our
Mm-hmm.
first collaboration, and is the video is up on my IG page, was mental health and the serenity of fishing, and it
Mm-hmm.
was just a phenomenal day. We went out, we fished, we talked about, how fishing calms, but we also talked about emotional control and, the
Mm-hmm.
things that men go through. So with that, and next month, starting in the month of April, we're doing this won't be a 1 day seminar. This will actually be a 2 hour Zoom seminar. And it's on the mastering the emotional roller coaster of investing. So me and my
Mm.
brother Jason Bass, he's my financial coach. We're going to be talking about the ups and downs of Wall Street and investing and just managing our money and how
Mm-hmm.
it's an emotional thing. So that will be April 22nd. No, April. Yeah, that will be April 22nd. And then a monthly meeting on self help will be the 29th of
Mm-hmm.
April. And then in May, I'm really excited. We're doing a collaboration between mental health and martial arts. It's
Nice. Oof.
protect your peace, defend your power, and that's
Mm-hmm.
uh, collaboration between mental health and martial arts, because we
Mm-hmm.
have to be able to defend ourselves and our families. So those are some of the things that that's on my agenda, on my to-do list in the next coming months.
I love it. I love the activity in the community. I love taking therapy outside of the confines of an office space and bringing it back into community. That's one way for us to change the trajectory and the path within our community and honoring mental wellness. So, bro, thank you again for a spirited conversation, for one that was filled with truth, honesty, and self-love. So everyone go out and connect with a safe space to be.com. Also, go to IG, go to Facebook, and at H Scott Gordon. You don't miss. My phone be blowing up every time he posts one of those gems. I be like, all right, let me share. And then some days I be like, oh dang, I forgot to share, and then I'll go back and share. But it is a lot of on time needed messaging that will help invigorate you on a daily basis, help you to challenge what you're thinking about emotionally, mentally, and physically, and giving yourself permission to be in tune. So until the next time on Authentically Peculiar with Marcia, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and then follow our guests because there are more words out there than we can put into this one episode. Thanks again. You all stay tuned. Have a beautiful rest of the week. Scott, I love you, bro. I appreciate you and all your things that you are doing. Always remain authentically peculiar. Take good care.
Love, love you to life, sis. Take care. Thank you.